All right, breaking right now, there's a new CBP report, and it actually finds that the Border Patrol agents on horseback used, quote, unnecessary force in a Texas case, but the investigation found that there was no evidence that they struck migrants with reins. I want to bring in District Media President Beverly Hallberg. Beverly, this is one of those things where it's very frustrating because the narrative immediately from the President of the United States and the media was one of the harshest conclusions you could come to, and it made everyone feel bad. It made all Americans feel bad, and apparently they jumped to a serious wrong conclusion. Do you think there'll be any apologies for that? You're an expert in this. This is what you do for a living. You're trying to get leaders to make sure that they don't say things like this, that inflammatory, and it turns out they were completely wrong.
Well, considering we knew at the time that the photos came out, and anybody who understood horses knew that those were reins and not whips, I don't think we're going to hear an apology because this isn't a surprising finding. So sadly, they're not going to apologize. They really should. But I think like most negative news stories, they stick to their message and hope the story just goes away.
Bottom line right now is that the world is in turmoil, right? The whole world, and a lot of leaders are facing a whole bunch of pushback and revolt. Here in the States, we had a headline this week that said Kryptonite Biden campaigns for Democrats while keeping his distance. They actually kept their distance from him. So what does that tell you? Again, we've got President Biden out there where even fellow Democrats don't want to campaign with him.
Yeah, he's a sinking ship and they are running from it. And I think it's for two reasons. One is that we all know his policies have led to inflation and higher costs, but I think his communication is a big part of it. Now, part of that is the stumbling that doesn't instill confidence. We all know he's not at the top of his game, but he continues to go out with this message that the economy is doing great, which of course is insulting to Americans who are feeling the pain. But on top of that, when he talks about any problem, he always points to Putin's tax hike. But the reality is if he points to the problem as being a war that we haven't gotten involved in, don't plan to, the American people then say, well, there is no solution. There is no end to the pain. He needs to come out with real solutions. One I have for him is to drill in this country, energy independence, but he's not going to go in that direction.
No, he's not. But it's interesting that they have so many miscommunications when it feels like public relations is at the top. Everything else comes second, and the effort to sort of massage the message or drive home a narrative that no one believes supersedes everything. So last time you were on the show, we gave Boris Johnson a shout out, right, for defending the greatness of America. Of course, he's been forced out. He's been forced to resign when everyone sort of turned on him, even in his own party. I just want your thoughts on how much of that was self-inflicted.
I think some of it is self-inflicted. There are some of the scandals, especially around COVID and whether or not he did behave poorly and differently than what he encouraged the people to. He also economically didn't handle things as well as I think he should have. But a lot of this is they don't like Boris Johnson. They don't like conservatives or what's known as the Tory party there. And so I think that there is this aspect of trying to push him out because he isn't the man that they want. Here is the fear that I have. All that he's accomplished on Brexit, which he will be known for, is what he did on Brexit. Right. It is up in the air because we don't know what's going to happen with that, depending on who becomes the new leader. I got
a less than a minute to go. So you have Boris Johnson, who partied during lockdown. He wasn't truthful about it. He's out. Gavin Newsom partied during lockdown. He wasn't truthful about it. He could be on his way to the White House. What the heck is going on?
Maybe it's a difference between the Brits and the Americans. The Brits don't put up with it. Americans like woke ideology too much and will put up with a whole lot.
I tell you what, though, I do love the House of Commons. I don't know if you watched this week, but there was one guy, the guy who was the opposition to Boris Johnson. He got up and he said, yeah, the sinking ship is fleeing the rat. Right then and then, I just fell out. I knew it was all over for Johnson. He quit the next day. Hey, Beverly, we'll talk again real soon.
All right. Good to see you.
All right, folks.